Alrighty guys, welcome back indeed for more Path of Exile Part 7, taking on the Elder. So, yeah, we're going to be taking on the Elder. You can buy these maps from other players if you want to. You can get them as drops, but it's kind of the same mechanic as the other Guardians, where there's like 4 of them. We have to defeat each one of them, and they're going to be dropping a fragment, and then we're going to put that in and actually take on the Elder. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. Basically, they are influenced by like Elder, and then it'll have like the Constrictor, Enslaver, Purifier, and Eradicator. They're relatively easier to do, I would say, than the Conquerors in terms of the mechanic, because what it is, it's the same boss fight that's just like amplified more. But what I mean by easier is not necessarily the fight itself, but more so like the mechanics. It's just like you fight the boss. I'll give you guys the gameplay of it, but it's relatively simple. Alright, so once you get to the boss, you'll notice that the boss isn't in their normal spot. What actually happens is the boss gets absorbed, and you'll see that they're kind of like eating the boss. There's a cool little animation. It happens every single time, so I'll just play it out like once. But then you're going to go to another area, which is still basically the same boss, but it's like a way, way harder version of it. There's not necessarily like newer mechanics other than like the boss is just much harder. Like, there's tentacles that come out, you try not to get hit by them. Ideally, again, just like most PoE bosses, if their back is turned to you, that's usually good. There's like a melee attack that goes like in a straight line. But they'll usually like warp you out, and then like you gotta wait. Basically, if you see things, don't get in the way of them. Where there's like the tentacles that pop out, or anything really. But I wouldn't stand too close to them either. Some of like the larger like slam attacks, they can hit for a decent amount. Let's do like a charged up shot. Stay outside of a little like any like things that would normally damage you. It's a straight line attack, and then we got the Fragment of Constriction. So there is one of them, and you'll see that usually they'll drop some sort of like influence stuff. Where like here we go. Some of these can actually roll certain things that are really good. That like you can't roll on certain other things, but it's another like special like item that can drop, similar to like how like the Drox and like they can be like influenced with certain like bosses, so to speak. Alright, next one up over here, the Halls of Delirium. This is the Purifier. Summon up all the skeletons so they can get all the charges up real soon. Right, so here's the Purifier. So there's little like yellow rings on the ground when they attack, but it's kind of hard to see when you have so many minions. But these lasers come out. I mean, at this point in the game, you should probably realize, yeah, don't stand in them. So like that's what I was saying before. Like, there's not anything too special with these bosses. I mean, I'm gonna still show you them all. Like, anyways, it takes us like what, maybe 30 seconds to kill them on average each. Not counting when they like go into the "you can't hit me" phase. Bunch of like hands come out in the bottom. There we go. And we got some items. But there is the Purifier. He is now down. And now we've got 2 of them. Right. The Manor of Madness. The Eradicator. It's coming out. So don't stand in the blue lasers. He's teleporting out to go to the next phase. A bunch of these little tentacle things coming out. Okay, there he is. Go under him so we can apply the brittle. into it next fight. We actually grabbed a shrine before fighting him, and it's like making the little lightning thing, so don't worry, that's not like a thing that you need to not get hit by, but I mean, most of it is just relatively easy at this point for us. We've gotten super far, but we got one last one, which is going to be the Enslaver. And do these usually white if it's your first time. That's why I'm just doing them just so I can make sure that they're still easy on like white, and this are relatively easy. In fact, Elder's not super hard anymore. All right, coming up to the final one, and I also probably should have mentioned this at the very beginning, but at least I remembered it now. You can buy and trade these maps. They range in price, so let me go ahead and show you guys kind of what they're going for. You can also just buy the fragments if you just want to fight them, but the maps can range anywhere from like 12 to maybe like 15 chaos, about on average. But you can also just buy the fragments, and then you can just fight the boss on its own. So the thing that you're really looking forward to getting is a Watcher's Eye or Orb of Dominance. It shows you everything that drops. And Presence got basically outclassed. Cyclopean Coil is a pretty cool item, but it's just been way outclassed. Then you can also get some Fragments of Terror and Emptiness, and this is to fight like the Shaper and the Elder at once. But yeah, that's like the basic like prices, just for reference, at least at the point right now. But let's go and fight the final one, and then we're gonna be fighting the actual boss. I love this map, by the way. This is cool. This is where KOM usually is. All right. So this is the Enslaver. Go walk under him. Walk under him, just walk away. And you might notice also on the maps that there's like some other like tentacles that spawn in. I mean, they're not usually too dangerous. But yeah, most of these bosses just kind of got outclassed as time went on. But he shoots little tornado looking things at you. He'll probably die pretty soon though. A lot of these bosses, for some reason, have like a jump attack. There we go. We got an invitation too. All right. This sword's not really worth anything, but we'll go ahead and identify it just to check it out. Supported by multi-strike. It's kind of a nice, fun item. Really low level stuff. But the most important thing is now we have all 4 of the fragments, and we're gonna go fight the boss. All right, on to the Elder fight. So the fight is actually pretty interesting. It's just basically a donut, and the only real mechanic that you should really be taught is that you want to stay in the donut hole on this fight. And if your AG goes out, or like you have any other like things that you care about, then move them. So this is the donut. So you want to stay inside the donut hole. Oh, we're getting kind of low over here. There's an attack where it's like a cone. He does this little thing with his fingers, like right there. Oh, we're frozen right now. Even though we're like cannot be frozen, he doesn't care. He'll still slow and freeze you. But other than that, there's tentacles that come out. The donut hole is like the only mechanic, and like you can stay in his little like grasp with his fingers for a little bit, but if you go outside of the little donut hole, you're probably dead when like the damage is gonna like actually tick. It takes a while for it to go through, but once it goes through, yeah, it does massive amount of damage. So now we're in the phase where there's a bunch of portals that come out. And you just destroy the portals. And then don't use your Vol Skeletons, or if you have a Vol skill, save it until he comes back to where you can actually deal damage to him, because most of this other stuff that comes out, it's really easy. He's an older boss, but he is required for like the map completion, and I'm going to show you guys all of the map completion bosses for sure. And if someone whispers you, don't type in during a boss fight. Whisper them after and be like, hey, sorry I was on a boss, would you like it now? And they totally understand. Because you know how I always complain about people like not responding to trades? Sometimes people are doing bosses, right? And it's totally a-okay. Because the moment you type something in, you may actually die. There's like more and more of these portals that come out. So you see the donut. Maybe this time you can see the little like grasp that he does. You see the elders right there. Throw in our skeletons. Go under him. There's a lot of like stuff. And then so Zano will be like, to me. There we go. We got a prismatic jewel. Now, every character will want one of these. Cyclopean Core is a cool item, but it's not really worth anything. A lot of these items that are influenced by whatever they're influenced by, it could be like drug stuff. I just usually throw them in a stash tab, 5 chaos each if I really don't know, like if I don't want to read. If you do know that there are certain like roles on them that are like, okay, I know this one is worth money, sure, but like sometimes it can be pretty nice just to sell things, get rid of them relatively quick. Now, I'll identify Cyclopean Coil because this is a cool item. However, this item over here, I almost always sell this unidentified. The reason why, for me personally, I mean, if you want to take the gamble, by all means, you do it, you have fun. So, it's a Watcher's Eye, and it's unidentified. They usually will sell, okay, I guess they're kind of cheaper now. I'm going to double check. Keep in mind, sometimes there are scammers. It'll be like, 30, 40 listings. The scammers, there's a lot more I'm noticing, like, this league in 3.18. Like, these are on average, usually worth like 2 exalts. But like, you'll see a bunch listed, like, for example, this guy that's listing it for 3 chaos, he's 1,000% a scammer. He's hoping someone else uses a scanner tool and goes, oh, this is only worth this much. But if you want to, you can identify them. Alright, so really quickly, I do want to go over the prices of the Watcher's Eye, as when I was recording, it's at a different time frame, right? So in terms of like the prices of things. So, one thing to note, if you do get a Watcher's Eye as a drop, they're very, very expensive items. So, first off, you're seeing the listings as of right now. This is as of 5/28. You can see there are Watcher's Eyes just for a few chaos. Now, if you keep the item, it can be worth a lot. Like, depending on the rolls, there's a difference between, huge difference between like a couple chaos orbs versus like 25 exalts. It depends on what you're looking for, and I'll show you guys my Watcher's Eye that I'm actually using in the gameplay. I still, even when I completed everything, did the Feared Maven, I'm still running what would be considered a cheap Watcher's Eye. So, what I look for in a Watcher's Eye is specifically getting the extra armor while affected by determination, or immune to vulnerability while affected by determination. Now, how a Watcher's Eye works is it will give you a huge amount of stat boost while you're affected by a very specific set of skills that it can roll on. Some are absolutely worthless, some are worth a lot. It depends on the combination also. You can get rolls on a Watcher's Eye where it's like multiple affected by the same aura, and you'll get a huge amount of a boost depending on what you actually get. So what I'm using here, and I'll show you guys what I'm looking for when I actually purchased mine, is all I'm looking for is specifically getting the, once I find my Watcher's Eye, here it is. So what I really wanted, they'll always, no matter what, give you energy, shield, life, mana. But the other thing that this one granted me, which was plus 913 armor while affected by determination. That's the only stat that I was looking for, because I want to keep this in a form where it's like relatively budget friendly. Like, there are insanely powerful Watcher's Eye. So, for example, just if it rolls determination, it's going to be like, I guess, like 50 chaos orbs is about the going rate, at least as of right now. But you can get something way better. Like, this one over here is way better because you have that additional armor, and this number can roll from 600 to 1,000. You can also use divine orbs to re-roll the amount that it actually has on it, so that can be a great way to try to get something a little bit better. So, like, what you can do is you can get some of these and then divine them. Now, this unaffected by vulnerability is actually pretty big as well, while affected by determination. But just that extra one line makes the thing jump up like twice or 3 times in price. And look at the next one up. Sometimes you can get these for relatively cheap and resell them. Like, this one would be a very easy resell. Like, if you were to get this for 1 exalt and try to sell it for like 1.5 at the moment, that wouldn't be that bad, because these are 2 stats that people usually will want. But then you can go even further and be like, okay, I want one that is going to give me armor and then gain this one has, it can roll though, it's 6 to 8% of maximum mana as maximum energy shield while affected by clarity, and sometimes people will run a like level 1 aura just so they can get that extra bonus effect. And then you also have physical damage taken as fire damage while affected by purity of elements. Now, depending on the drop, so what we did right there was just the regular Elder. The regular Elder will drop it as an item level 85. So an unidentified one at least like when you're first starting the league, that's what I was like mentioning in the video, that it can be about 2 exalts. Right at this point right now, prices again has fluctuated, but at the start of the league, usually the regular Watcher's Eye can be about 2 exalts earlier on in the league. It can be worth more. It depends sometimes on the market too. You know, there's always factors, but they're about worth 1 exalt right now for the unidentified regular one. Now, if you do the other one, which is going to be the Uber Elder, which is the harder one, that will drop as an item level 86. Now, these ones are worth a lot more. You can see the lowest is basically going to be 3.4 exalts. This guy over here is more than likely not actually going to be selling it for 2.5 exalts because it's just not the going rate. That's why I always mention, guys, check a few of these listings, because sometimes what happens is someone is actually trying to scam and make people think it's worth a lot less than it actually is. So be aware of that. But yeah, you don't need an insane Watcher's Eye to do the Maven, although it would help. But we'll be doing some more insane game boss fights. So yeah, when it drops, it's always going to be at level 85, unless of course you're doing the Uber, which is 86, which is actually worth more because it can have 1 extra modifier on it. So this one over here, if I hold Alt, I can see that it's an 85. It doesn't really mean that it's going to roll like a higher number or anything. It's just that it has another one, essentially. Most of the times, at least. There may be some like exceptions to the rules of certain things on item levels, but for the most part, in this case, there are items technically that do exist that, depending on the item level, certain things won't roll on them. But anyways, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this part, though. But congratulations if you defeated the Elder. He is definitely, I would say, a relatively fair boss fight, though. Especially for, like, minions, it's much easier. But if you're doing, like, a melee, like, 1-target build, yeah, it can be kind of rough with all of the things coming in. But congratulations if you defeated him. And we're going to be fighting some more super bosses in the next part, which are going to be the Conquerors. And then we've got the Uber Elder. And then we've got Maven. We got a lot more to cover. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on your way out. And I'll see you guys in the next part. Take care. I'm out. Peace.